Okay, welcome, and this is going to be a live stream basically of Field of Glory Empires. My name is DasTactic, and I've sort of been lucky enough to be let loose on this incredibly good game. So I think there's already a fair few people actually in the chat there. So if you do have any questions, I may not be able to glance across and reach them. I will be trying to sort of go through the game mechanics in a certain way, but I still don't want to get too bogged down in the game mechanics, if you know what I mean. So just sort of starting here, actually, I did want to point out this. We're going to be playing just a single challenge, which is just challenge 1, which really is just the conquest of Italy. And the actual game itself, I should just point out, is massive in its breadth. So the map, even the map that we're seeing through here, from going from Spain, through to through across to Greece, essentially, this is only maybe a quarter of the actual size. It goes right up to the top of Scotland, way down into Africa and across to India. So it's a massive, massive game. Anyway, let's just get started. I'm going to be playing Challenge 1, and I'll just explain what we're doing as we get into it. The difficulty level, I'm just going to keep it on balanced. I'm sort of been too scared to sort of push it out beyond balanced. It's sort of one of these things where I don't know what actually happens as you sort of go further and further out, but we'll just keep it where it is as the default, and let the game load in. So, yeah, if there are specific questions for me, maybe just do an at DasTactic or something, so I can sort of try to see it that way. But I may not be able to sort of glance across too much. So, anyway, let's have a look at this. So, Challenge 1 is Conquest of Italy. As Rome, in balanced difficulty, try to conquer as much of Italy as you can in the least amount of turns. All the regular features of the game are in place, and the AI nations will act as normal. But the playing area is reduced to the Italian Peninsula and surroundings, so you will be spared some outside threats. Now, this is important to know. This is not just the game is not just this size. The game is monstrously big, and there are 71 factions, I think, that are actually in the game that you can actually start to play. And it really doesn't matter how small or big the faction is. You can pretty much survive nearly anything initially. The game really is an incredible game, the way it sort of does model, from massively large empires down to very, very small empires. So let's just get started. Actually, one of the little things through here, we've got the context, which sort of sets the scene for us. The gameplay, so it just goes through some tips of how to actually play it, along with some modifiers. Now, I'll try to cover these sorts of things, but not initially. I'll try to just sort of get the game started, and then we'll just go through and go from there. So we'll just click on OK, and I will read some of this stuff. So. Context: at the start of the game, Rome is just emerging as the dominant power in central Italy. By 281 BCE, had become to dominate the south, but also this brought war with Carthage. So let's not worry about Carthage. We don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So we'll just go past that one. Rome has many advantages and few drawbacks. Several modifiers will provide extra leaders, and the legion is a very good heavy infantry, which can be improved twice as the game progresses. Now, we're not going to be getting any of those improvements because we're going to be playing a very short game here. This challenge is all about speed, not about longevity. Your early navy is weak, but will improve with the right decision. You should be able to defend better than others your regions with the Roman forts and the extra conversion rate from Colonia and Municipium, which should help to spread the Pax Romana at a decent speed. Once again, we're not going to be focusing on many of these empire building sides of things, which is a bit of a shame because in one sense you won't get to see that aspect of the game much with this particular gameplay. But there will be other challenges, and I'm assuming that they will be more to do with empire building rather than conquest. But this first challenge is all about conquest. At the start, you are at war with Simones, and this needs to be handled with some care. Build up before you try to invade them, and that's actually quite important. Once this war is out of the way, either by conquest or peaceful means, you should take over the Samnites and the Etruscans. You can then decide, move south and tangle with Carthage. Yeah, so a lot of this is written for the main game, but that first little thing about the Simones is actually really, really important. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. So we'll just click on OK. So fights for survival. So the Roman Republic has to contend with several threats right from the start. The Simones, a Celtic tribe to your northeast, are eager to repeat the sack on Rome. They are your main enemy and are already at war with your nation. The Etruscan and Samnites are your neighbours and will have to be pacified one way or another. Okay, the Roman army is made up of 2 disciplined Roman legions and 2 allied legions called alae. but 2 extra legions can be recruited very rapidly. It is advised to do so as things will get tough very soon, or tense very soon. And that really is very important. The key to playing Rome initially in the first move is to make sure that you actually build up your army. So there's a lot to look at here, and it's a bit one of these sort of things where it's hard to sort of know exactly where to start, because like all the different resources, like they all play a big role. But the big thing that Rome gets right from the very start, if you are sort of playing like a conquest game, is this 80 equipment. And so maybe I'll just talk about this to start with. This is Rome that we've got sort of selected in through here, and this is the buildings that we actually have in Rome right at this very particular point in time. We've got a lot of different advantages, like we've got the Capitol, large walls, barracks, etc. And I can click on these to sort of see what they actually do bring, but I won't worry too much about those just yet. But as I say, the big thing we have is equipment, and if I go across to my recruitment screen over through here for Rome, we can see that if I click on the Legion itself, it's then, in fact, if I press Control, no, I don't get it on this one. So this is the Legion. It's going to cost me 50 of the equipment. So the actual equipment cost is 50 for getting these guys. These are heavy infantry, and so they actually start off where they cost a little bit of extra money than anything else, but these are by far my best troops. They've actually got like an attack rating of 12, so they actually attack at 6, defend at 5, which will make sense when we start to actually use the attacks. They've got 3 hit points, which means that they can actually survive fairly well, an effectiveness of 2, which is standard for infantry. This will make sense once we actually do get into the battles, which will be fairly soon. I sort of want to rush forward to get into an actual battle, but before we get to a battle, we have to make sure that we actually get enough for our actual troops. If I go back to the region again, we can see that we've got 80, we've got plus 46 as well. So I can actually add the 46 to the 80 to then get whatever I need to recruit, which means that I can almost get like a full legion every turn with the plus 46. But I do have this storage of 80. So let's just go back across and grab this one. And if I right click, I can actually bring them in that way. Or if I just have it clicked and then click on this one, I can bring them in. So I can get 2 of them because I've got the 80 plus 46. So I've got the, what have I got left after that? I've still got another 26 that I can actually make use of. So what I want to be doing is I want to bring in some support units, because they're also vitally important for these, or for all the attacks, to be honest. And so we've got validities that I can actually then sort of use in through here. Now, these only have a cost of 10 equipment. I'm not going to be worrying too much about the gold or the manpower or anything, or the metal with this just yet. We've sort of got enough to get us through the initial part of the game. It really is just the equipment is the stumbling block. So they're only 10, which means that if I've got, what have I got? Still got 26 left over, haven't I, with this one? So 100, yep, that gives me 26, which means that I can get 2 of these the next turn if I wanted to. So I can just right click on and bring those in. The next one after that will then be 2 turns, but let's not worry about that one. Another thing I can do though is I can also get light cavalry, which costs 15. So this has been a good start and a lucky start for me, because I can actually still get the light cavalry with the money that we have left. So let's bring that in as well. So we're bringing in 1 light cavalry, 1 valites, 2 legions, and that will be our first turn as far as setting up our army is concerned. If we have a look, we have an army already here that already has 2 legions in it. It's also got 2 of the Alay units, and it then also has like 4 of the valites, 1 cavalry unit, and 2 light cavalry. So we're going to be adding in another 1 valite, 1 light cavalry, and 2 more legions to make this into quite a powerful sort of group. The actual thing has only got 11 units. Now, what's important, the reason that you don't want to go charging off right now, is that each area on the map has actually got like a frontage for the battles. And so if I click on Rome, for example, and have a bit of a look at this, we'll see this has got a frontage of 12. Now, by not actually having 12 for these open plains, it does mean that we're at a pretty big disadvantage for any other unit that does have more than the frontage. And if we have a look across at our enemy and just sort of plan out a little bit what we're going to be doing, this is also a plain. And if we hover over this, we can see that their frontage is 12. So they could have lower quality units, but have that extra area where they can actually get around our flanks and actually do some massive damage. So whatever you do, if you are playing as Rome, don't go and attack planes with only 11 units in your group. If that, hopefully that makes some sort of sense. We'll see that when we get in there. The next thing we have to do is I also do have the ability to recruit from the other 2 provinces that we have available. So I've got Campania, and I also have like Tiberias over through this side. And because of the nature of what we're trying to do with this one, which is to try to take over essentially mainland Italy and up to here. This is sort of like the northern boundary that we need to sort of get into. I need to take these 2 plus everything sort of down to the toe of Italy, essentially toe and heel of Italy. So that's what we have to do. So we don't have to worry about too many of the other sort of meta game type things that the game actually does come with. So with this one, when we have a bit of a look across, we can't see into there because we don't have any forces in Tiberias. If we had forces in Tiberias, we'd be able to sort of at least have a bit of a look in and see what's actually in there. But we don't. But we can still sort of get things. Now you'll see that they've got no equipment stored up and 10 that they can actually get, which means I can still get another allay as well in this one. So if I go across and sorry, not another allay, they can make allay. The allay also cost 50. So that would be 5 turns to get one of those. If I tried to get one of those, I can get a validity though straight away. So I'm going to grab that one. So we'll just get one validity this turn from there. And at Campania, we can see that we're getting plus 17, which means that in Campania it usually starts with a horse stud, which does allow me to then produce horses, etc. I don't think we get any bonus really for anything else that we're doing in Campania, but I can get yet another light cavalry in there if I wanted to as well. Now, the light cavalry are important. They're pretty much the same sort of deal as the skirmishers with the velites. They cost a little bit more. Like this is the upkeep, I think, is the same. Yeah, 3 upkeep. But they can help you at the end of battles to either escape or to chase down enemies. So I'm going to grab one of those. So we'll get one of those next turn as well. Right, so that's got the army now under control. Let's now just go across and we still have to look after our regions and do some more building. And so what we have through here is, I'm just going to have a quick look inside. So when we actually come to actually do buildings, and you want to be trying to build as much as you possibly can initially. When we have a look at this, we have available a ranch. Now, I'm not really too interested in ranches for Rome. What I want to do here, just to maybe just talk a little bit about the 3 different areas that we actually have. If we have a look at this, we'll see that Rome has actually got sort of like a tier 3 building through here, the Capitol. Plus it has some tier 2 buildings in the military. This is essentially infrastructure and military get placed into here. And the Campus Martius as well. So it's got all these different sorts of buildings, which gives us different bonuses like to equipment, unlocks the Legion. This one here, and I don't want to focus too much on this because otherwise it'll just take too long with this live stream, but bonus of 10 XPs when a unit is created with this one. So with the barracks, we've got large walls so we can resist sieges fairly well, and we also have the Capitol, which gives us extra culture and equipment, etc. in through here as well. So this is how we're getting our plus 46 equipment essentially through these sort of buildings, but it also does allow for our recruitment. So when we're building, this is a great city to actually specialize in military because we already have a massive start. It also has a good start though in commerce. So the money that comes through here, the commerce buildings, we have a potter's workshop, which gives us extra money. We have a forge, which gives us money and metal. We'll see ultimately that we'll get sort of metal production, and we get bonuses. I'll talk about this as we sort of start to get more into the game itself, but I'll talk about trade and bonuses. And this one just provides more infrastructure, which ends up back over here. This is how quickly we can then build our actual buildings. And so with these, needs stone, which it imports from Tiberias, which is fine. So basically that's not a worry having the paved roads. Down through here we have the Senate, which is sort of unique to Rome. And so this gives us extra culture, and we get a culture bonus of 10% there as well. It's a national wonder. And right at the very top, in sort of like our food and health area, and this is a health building, this one also requires stone. This is an aqueduct, which gives clean water, which gives a really nice health bonus as well into Rome itself. Now, if we're going to be building, I'd be looking, unless I can see something that's an absolute no-brainer, I'll actually be taking the military building. So in this one, the archery, we can get a level 1 archery building, and it's going to give me extra equipment, archery martial training, so a bonus of 5 XP when a unit is created for archers and skirmishers, and skirmisher cavalries, which is what we're sort of getting at the moment. So let's just go and grab that one for Rome. As far as where everybody actually is, I'm going to ultimately need to get on top of my money. My money is going to be going backwards fairly quickly. This will grow in 17 turns, and I don't really need to worry too much about growth because we are going to be really going for a quick win. We don't need to really have too much that we're worrying about with food. So I could actually just bring some of these down and make them, a couple of the citizens, for example, just keep on getting a little bit more of the money, which is something we are going to have to focus on. Another thing I don't have to focus on with this particular one too much is culture. I mean, culture in a normal game of empires is going to be massively important, but I can sort of bypass that a little bit with the because of the way it sort of does work. Now, our citizens are made up of both citizens, italic citizens in through here, but also slaves. Now, we've got a Hellenistic slave, which is a Greek slave, plus we have italic slaves as well. So we've got a fair few slaves in Rome. Now, these will start to pull down our unrest a little bit. You can see that they're sort of like they're on yellow with 5 unrest. We've got 2 unrest with this one. Productivity 6, where that one actually is. This one's at 3 unrest. Unrest is important to manage, and that's also a feature of culture. So if the unrest comes down close to 50, I'm going to have to switch across and try to do other things to sort of make sure that this actually does, basically is managed. Under 50 means that my armies won't replenish themselves. Right, so that's Rome out of the way. Tiberias. Tiberias is actually an interesting place because it starts off with a quarry, which means that I can sort of start to really delve into infrastructure if I wanted to. This one's going to get growth in 12 turns, and I don't have to rush with that one, but I still will keep this one where they actually are. We've got regional roads, and we also have solid walls in through here. When we have a look, what do we get? And this is sort of randomly generated, by the way. So in through here, we actually have a marble quarry that we can get. Now, it's going to give us 5 infrastructure and a bonus of 10 culture from the marble. Now, this is going to be sort of fairly important for us, I think, ultimately. But when we have a look across at the available structures, I can get wood cutting. I can get a marble vein at some point as well, brickworks, and a wheel maker. So I'm thinking I'm just going to grab this one anyway. I'm going to focus on infrastructure as my main focus for Tiberias. So let's just go and grab that one. I won't worry too much about what else is actually in here. Otherwise, once again, it'll just take too long. If I was sort of playing this one, trying to sort of think everything out, I'd be min-maxing everything and trying to sort of have a look at absolutely everything. And Campania starts off with Wheelmaker, a training ground back in through here as well. So it's got a little bit through here, solid walls. It does actually have a paved road. It starts with a harbour, and so this is going to be sort of like more of our commerce area. And so what I think I'm doing here, it's got, once again, got growth in 16 turns. Let's just go and throw some more characters down into the bottom through here. We've got a lot of, the way that this works as well, I should just point out, the citizenship that you actually have, we've got a population of 12, and that means that I can actually build 12 different buildings inside each of these areas. And so I've got a lot of building. I don't have to rush to get the growth. I do want to get the money, and so and the buildings actually act independently of your population. They don't actually expand on what the buildings are doing. They just sort of work in this way. So in that sense, it's they're fine just to sort of come down and just add extra to the money anyway. So we'll just go across to buildings, and I now want to sort of mainly focus on the commerce buildings if I can down here. Now, this is oops, hang on, I don't want to do the furnace just yet. The furnace using iron. Now, we get a bonus of 7 metal from coal, which is missing. It does need iron, and it can actually grab that from Etruria, which means that it's sort of going to be trading to actually get that. It's going to give me 6 money and 4 metal. Do I want it? When we have a look across the available structures, there's a lot of different stuff. A lot of different stuff. Now, the way that we're playing, we don't need to expand the docks at all. We don't need to actually get into the water at all in this particular challenge. If we were playing where we had to go across and invade, for example, other areas of the map, it's ideal to actually have a bigger. Actually, we will need a navy. Sorry, we will need a navy at some point. Because we're going to have to go after Tarentium down at the bottom, where they do actually have a navy as well. So ultimately we will need to get there, but I'm thinking we could also just get this one here. So skirmisher cavalry training. It gives me extra equipment, which will allow me to then recruit better. I'm thinking of going this way. And so needs horses, and it's a local good because we have the horse stud. So let's just go and grab that one. I can get a clay pit, which I don't want to get. Let's just go and get that one for now. So that's pretty much the minimum that we need to do for this first turn, just to sort of get everything sort of set up ready for our armies to then go rolling. So let's just end the turn there. I keep on thinking there's probably going to be something that we're going to be missing. Oh, here we go. We're actually now just having a look. We've got a -25 trait with the Senones. We've got a +25 across with Eritrea. Now we're going to have to ultimately attack them in this particular scenario. I could actually try to have them as an ally, but that's just going to take way too long. So let's just go straight after these guys. And so we'll just end our turn. I'm not going to do anything with diplomacy. All right. So what it does is it plays out, it's a we-go system. And so what actually happens with this is that it, when it's playing out that turn, it played it out pretty fast, but everybody has their turns. The AI has now finished its turn for the next coming turn, and then we're away at this particular point in time. Now, this is really important if you're playing a long game. I'm not going to be worrying about it so much in this game, but if you, like when you're playing, trying to keep out of this bottom tier, which is essentially is your culture and your decadence ranking. And decadence is a feature of all sorts of different things in the game, including the number of provinces that you actually own. And so we're actually really not doing very well with culture and decadence. If we were playing a long game, it would be very important that we try to push ourselves back out of here and move ourselves up away from this bottom rung, and hopefully into this top rung, so we can start to progress. So I won't cover this actually in this particular playthrough, because it's quite involved, but it really is the heart of the game. So this is really important to sort of try to get your culture as high as possible, unless you're just going for quick wins like we are. So we don't have to do this. Now, when we have a look at this, this is the legacy points, and this is the ranking system of the game itself. So the Etruscans have actually got 3 legacy points. We've got 2. Now, we're going to get these from all sorts of different things. Ultimately, when we start attacking, and we'll be attacking this next turn, we can then sort of grab them by getting objectives. All right, so I'll just click on OK, and we'll now see that as that turn progressed, we end up with the different units that were placed in through here. So we've now got the 2 different ones over this side. You know, I made a big mistake. Not a big mistake. I forgot to look to see who my leader was of my army. Actually, I don't have to change anything. That's good. So we've got Agilus, and Agilus has got an offensive ranking of 2, which is good, because we're going to be going on the offense. I wanted to make sure that I had the best leader possible to lead the army. Now, when they first come in, the first turn that they're in, or the first year, because they're yearly turns, the first year the army has to get used to their new commander, and so there's a bit of a hit to their effectiveness just in the first year. So by having Agilus actually in charge the whole time, that's okay. If I wanted to change him, I just click on this, and Rome has a massive advantage in leaders. Most of the other factions don't have anything like this. So we can see there that we've got like some good defensive leaders. We've got another good, so Scaevola is actually a good offensive leader as well. Some of them have got little bonuses, like this one's a strategist, so it gets a defense bonus +1, but only in plains, only in open terrains, and movement bonus of +1 as well for that one, but he doesn't have any other benefits other than that one. So Avidus is actually a really good defensive leader, but also then has like an ambusher attack in forested terrain. So there's no forest actually in the Italy, but if he was going up into Gaul, like that would be a really, really cool. Gaul and Germany would be great to actually have somebody like that as a leader in an army, probably more defensive than offensive. 2 is the maximum, essentially, that you can get with your leadership. But these are the leaders. Actually, what have we got down here? This one's also a 2. So Hypatius is a coward. So movement penalty of 1 for the entire stack and defensive penalty of 1 for the entire stack, but only active in like he doesn't like being in enclosed spaces. So he's got an offensive rating of 2, and I'll show you how these work. The offensive rating and defensive ratings apply to die rolls, and the actual penalties that we're seeing there with the like the defensive penalty that actually goes to individual units. But I'll be playing we'll be getting a few battles coming up in just a second. But I'm happy enough with keeping. Well, I'm very happy having Agilus as the commander of the group. Now, what I can't do is I can't mix these guys in with this one just yet. I can't have them join up on the march. And so I'm going to have to send the legions out. So if we click on this, we can now see that we've actually got now 15 units, which is wider than the frontage that we need to actually go and attack the first one. Luckily, there's nothing that was built there that's going to mean that they can get inside any walls. So when I attack this group, and they've only got 10 units that are actually listed there. They'll also have some units protecting natively this particular area as well. So that 10, I think, goes up to 15 or so, I think. It normally tells you what the garrison units 6. Here we go. So defensive units, it's got garrison units of 6 in through there. So that'll add to the 10 that are already there. And so we can actually have a look at these because we've got now a unit next to it. We can sort of see what's going on. So we've got war chariots. They shouldn't really be too much trouble. And if we have a look at this, then the combat power is 6. Heavy infantry, they've got a couple of those. They've got a couple of cavalry and a lot of warriors. Now, the warriors are not very effective. These are sort of Celtic or Gallic warriors. And actually, they're Celtic, I think. And so these aren't all that effective. You'll see that there's one there with a star at the back end there. He's actually got a little bit more power than the others because he's gone up. He's like a veteran. The others haven't gone up with any sort of veterancy. If we have a look at our troops, we've got a couple that have actually gone with a bit of veterancy there as well, which is their attack power. When we actually go on the attack, it's going to end up being, if I press Control, we can see it through here. So we're going to be attacking at 6. So our legions attack very, very effectively, but they actually are really, really poor in forest, swamps, and mountainous terrain. So so you can see there an attack penalty of 2, which means that their attack would only be 4 inside a forest. Defense would be 3 inside a forest because they've got a defense of 5 at the top, and a movement penalty of 1. Now, they move at 6. These are, for heavy infantry, they move very, very well. These guys, I think, also move at 6 as well. So the Roman legions move faster than nearly anybody else. Anyway, let's just grab this legion, and we're going to move it off into Picenum to attack, first of all, these guys in through here. Now, a little word of warning, if you are going into an area where there is actually a, like if, for example, in Tiberias, I could actually have it march into Tiberias or into the actual countryside. If you give an order against an enemy castle and actually go, okay, attack into the castle instead of actually, or into the fortification instead of actually into the town, you'll do an assault as well. So just be really careful that you don't. Like in this case, there is nothing built. They've got no walls, so I'm just going to be attacking essentially the army plus the garrison. So let's just right-click and just get them moving. Now, their movement, you'll see they've got a movement speed of 6. We're going through this area through here, which is a hill, which is going to cost me 3 movement. And then this one here is actually another one that's going to cost me 2 movement. Now, I think sometimes you can actually get all the way... Yeah, I can actually get all the way across with this guy. And I'm not sure exactly how that movement is working because I can, if I wanted to, hit this guy, and then go across in the same year and hit this one. But what I found when I've been testing it is that very often your leader will be killed, and the second battle is a loss. So because of that, so the leaders don't last very long. So let's just leave him there. Everything else, we've just got our buildings sort of still working in through here. We've got a couple of different things that have come up. So gather mercenaries from local allies. This is a decision that we can make if we wanted to. So send emissaries if we had 1,000 gold, which we don't. So I don't want to do that one. And we also then have having the majority patrician party ordered the Epidemina as a new objective to conquer. So it's actually put this one as an objective. These are sort of randomly generated. I'm not going to be worrying about that one. These are other objectives. In fact, this is an objective here. So the first one is Picenum is actually one of our objectives. You can see it through there with the little area. Which what I might just do, just make everything a little bit cleaner, just so you can sort of see who's who in the zoo. Is to just turn this one on. So these are our enemy at the moment, and so we're going to be attacking this one this turn, that one next turn. This is also an objective, and so this is a group that is actually, this is Patus, and so we're going to be wanting to wipe them out next after this, I think. Although maybe not. I may come back to that one because I've then got some big sieges that I'm going to have to do down through here with Tarentum and also with Samnium. Now, Samnium isn't going to really like us much, and they're going to be raiding and doing all sorts of damage to us as well, which is going to be a pain in the bum. Now, what I also want to have happen is I want to have these units end up coming across and joining up with this army. So one thing I can't do is go and actually grab this army and move it into here as well, because it'll get there first, do the first attack and get slaughtered. So I'm just going to move it back to here, and then I'm going to move it back across. I can still get there in one turn. You can see there that when I hover over, it's now going to get there after this army. So we're going to march into Rome and then march across. And same with this one as well. I'm just going to go and grab the this army here, and I'm just going to march that across just so that they all marry up with my main forces right from the very, very start. Nothing else we have to do, so we'll just end our turn there. And then we'll have a look at an actual battle. So you can see there, they're actually now all marching back and this is what's called an impulse. And so we're at the 26% impulse of the year after we've given the actual orders. So we've got a battle in Picenum. I'm probably pronouncing these really incorrectly, but anyway, the important thing to know is we've got a frontage of 12. We've got 15 units. They've got 17 units. Our attack power is 80. Their attack power is 53. So we're not going to have it all our own way. We've got a general with 2 attack, but they've got a general with 2 defense. Plus, it looks like they've also got some forest protection there as well with their particular general. Now, what we could do in here, if we wanted to, would be to export the battle out to play it in Field of Glory 2. And this is sort of one of these battles which is a really important one. So it would have, in one sense, been a fun one to do, but it's sort of outside the scope of what we want to be doing today. So let's just go across. I can either just view the report and see what actually happened, but let's explain what goes on in detail in an actual battle, because there's a lot of strategy about the composition of your forces for how you're actually going into these particular battles. Now, we saw that they mainly had a lot of warriors. Now, the warriors are going to be better than my skirmishers, but worse than my heavy infantry. So if we just view the battle, and I'll just make sure that continuous play is off, and so we can have a bit of a look to see what's going on through here. They've got more forces than we actually have. So they've got more men. They do actually have, let's actually look at their forces to start with. They've been able to arrange all of their forces. They start with the heaviest in the middle and then sort of fan out from there. So their heavy infantry will be in the middle. Their war chariots in the middle there as well. The war chariots aren't all that good, to be honest. They've got a combat rating of 6. I'm not sure what we'll see as we get into the battles anyway. And so the heavy infantry is in the start, and ours will be as well. Like our legions are in the middle here. We've got the ally, we've got the legions on the outsides as well. So all of our heavy infantry goes out to here. Now, they're going to be attacking whatever's opposite them ultimately in these sort of front ranks. Even though I've got this little group of skirmishers out the front, this is still my front ranks. So we're going to have a little bit of an overlap against some of their warriors, which has only got like a very low combat rating. They've got some cavalry on the outside. So what it tends to do is it tends to put your heavies in the middle and then fan out to your normal infantry, and then fanning out to your cavalry and your skirmishers on your front rank. So that's how our front rank has been allayed. or arranged, and their front rank, they've got their warriors and their cavalry sort of essentially. So they've been able to get a full front rank all the way across there. Inside here, they've actually got urban militia. Now, these are still skirmishers for them, but I don't think that these have got a ranged attack. So ranged phase using ranged attack rating. Actually, it does say that there, ranged phase using ranged attack. So these ones will actually have a ranged attack. These are their support units. They're not going to be all that strong. Ideally, we would have been wanting to fight them in the frontage. And you can see here we've got now the 12 frontage through here. We've only got 3 extras. And so these actually start off in the first phase, which is going to be the ranged phase. They'll get to have their shot first. And then finally, the cavalry back in through here are actually in reserve for the Senones. So let's just get started. So the first thing is the ranged phase. Now, what we can see is we've got different units that have got different sorts of attacks. And so our 2 allays don't have a ranged attack. Actually, we've got ranged defense rating using combat rating of 5. The legions do have a combat rating of 6. So they actually do throw like javelins. These have got a combat rating of 5 in the ranged attack. So we've got like a lot of our forces use a ranged attack. These ones through here, these urban militia do have a ranged attack, and so do their war chariots, which has got a combat rating of 6, a bit like our legions. So initially, everybody that's got a ranged attack will actually do a ranged attack, except for the people that are actually back in here in the reserve. So these are not going to participate in this particular battle. If we had a reserves, they'd be back in through here in this bottom rung where there's actually nothing sort of showing. So in through here, we're going to then, and these are going to be the different sort of targets. The targets are randomly picked from the front line. So you'll notice that our skirmishers and their back line don't actually get targeted, but anything in this front line is fair game, and the ranged attack only does damage against the effectiveness, and I'll explain what the hits and effectiveness are when we get into the next phase after this. So we just play this one out. Now, what we want to see is exhausted. Now, none of our troops got exhausted or tired, which is great, which means that none of their hits actually were effective. But we were effective against a few of theirs. And what this has done, this heavy infantry has had its effectiveness reduced to 0. And that's going to impact how it fights. So it's going to have a real big problem with its fighting. This one as well. These warriors back over through here are also exhausted with an effectiveness of -2, which takes it down to 0. The tired units just had effectiveness reduced by 1. Now, effectiveness is not hit points. It is just basically how well they can fight. Once they become exhausted, they fight at a very diminished rate. Now let's get into it. Now we start off the series of duels against each of the the heavies. It would probably start here against the war chariots, and then sort of move it out to one flank and across to another flank. Now, with these series of duels, we're trying to get we're trying to win more than three more than the enemy, essentially, to then cause the enemy to retreat. Now, there's no indicator on the game, and this is actually still a beta version of the game. So I hope that they actually show that, actually, just to give an indicator as things are going as to how that count actually goes. Anyway, let's just go and play. Yep. So our first one, and I'll explain actually what's going on through here. So they've got their war chariots. You'll notice that we've got these two are lit up. This is what's called a duel, and so every single frontline troop has a duel. But you'll also notice that we've got some units behind each of us that are also have got a highlight. Now these are our supports, and so they come in following in the frontline troops and add support to what they do. And so the actual combat rating that we sort of see through here, natively, these war chariots have got a combat rating of 3, and then the militia behind them has got another 1. So they end up with a combat rating of 4, which is what's shown in through here. What we've got through here is we have the Legion, which has got a combat rating of 6, but our validities actually have a support bonus of 2, and so ours comes up to 8. Now, we're already a long way ahead of where these war chariots actually are. Next comes the actual die rolls, and so we take whatever the biggest die roll is from our leaders. The minimum, you can never have less than one more, like there's always be one die roll, except if you're flanking. That's why you need to have the frontage sort of out there. In this case, they've got defense of 2, so they add 2 die rolls to what they've got, and we have 2 attacks. So as far as the die rolls are concerned, they're going to be fairly even. And so it will take the biggest of whichever ones these are, add it to this, and then just give us a total back over here. So let's just go and play. And there we go. Now we'll see there 3 and 3. I'll just quickly sort of show that one and show what actually has happened there. And so with this particular one, they've been destroyed in that battle. We rolled a 6, so 6 plus 8 is 14. They rolled a 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, which gives us a difference of 6. Now you saw there it was 3 and 3, and the hits they only had 2 hits anyway from the very start. It just essentially, with a difference of 6, it takes 3 off the effectiveness and 3 off the hits with that sort of change. So we're now 1 up with that particular duel. We go to the next one across, and we'll see through here once again we've got a slight advantage through here. It's heavies versus heavies. So this is their heavy troops. We've got 3 hit points, 3 hit points. It's going to be difficult to actually to get a win here as such. Let's just go and play it. Now we saw there, this is interesting. See stalemate. It was 1-1, 1-1. Now this is it's worse to get a stalemate than for them to have a slight win. It means that you're in pitched battle. And so we rolled lower. In fact, we rolled 3 9s. They rolled a 10, and there's some other sort of jiggery pokery that goes on in this as well. So you've got like a minimum number as well that sort of does come in. 2 is their minimum roll, 2 is our minimum roll. So if we roll a 1, essentially we roll again in these die, and same with us as well. There's sort of like it is exposed in the game, but I won't sort of go through that in too much sort of detail as to how that actually does work. But anyway, we got 15 each. When you have even numbers like this, what it does is it takes 1 off from both sides. It takes 1 off the effectiveness and 1 off the hit points. And so both of us have now lost 1 effectiveness and 1 hit point. So it's a pitched battle. If there was a difference of 1, let's just say that they had have scored 14 and we had scored 15, they would have just lost 1 effectiveness and not a hit point. So it's actually worse to have even numbers than it is to have a difference of only 1 point. So it's, anyway, just to be aware of that. Okay, next one out through here. We now have a big bonus because our Legion is much, much better with its combat rating natively than the Warriors. We also have an extra hit point. So let's just see what the result is. Now this is 3. It means we take 2 effectiveness off them, which has sort of now really diminished them. Plus we also have... but only one of the... if we had a difference of 1 more point, we would have actually then got we would have actually killed them off because they've got 1 hit point. We did 2 effectiveness and 1 hit point of damage. Next one. Now these will be a little bit different when we sort of come into this particular attack. We're now fighting. They've got a bit of an advantage, but we are cavalry, and so this actually plays out a little bit differently as well. So you'll notice that we're evading them. And so that essentially what actually happens here, and this is my understanding, and I may be incorrect with this one, but maybe one of the devs can read, can actually just, you can sort of just go through, maybe Pocus is one of the devs, so Pocus may be able to sort of give us some guidance here. But I think what happens is that if cavalry it needs to evade, it will add 2 to its score. So 10 gets added up to 12, which makes it so that we lose 1 effectiveness and they roll the 13. So I think that's how cavalry works. Okay, yep. So, and yeah, Pocus is actually saying, yes, the faster unit can avoid some damages if a cavalry. Yeah. So, and I think it just adds, from what I've noticed, it seems to just add 2 to that score. And so will our skirmishers. So we're going to have a few more of these. So let's just go across to the next duel. So they still win that one. Once again, evading. And in this case, actually, that was still 2 difference, but we managed to do an effectiveness damage against them. I'm not sure how that's rolling. That's a skirmisher. Maybe this is superior skirmisher. May have something to do with that. I'm not sure exactly how that one does work. Okay, Pocus is saying that you avoid 1 effective loss if it's the skirmisher. Okay. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, in that, but I'm not sure how that one works. But anyway, that was fine. And we're going to have another skirmisher sort of attack in through here as well. So we'll just go through. But you can see there's an awful lot of strategy for when you're planning your attacks. There is. It's not just a matter of rolling out the strongest army and moving forward. You want those support units. They've got a slight advantage there. Now, if they had have done damage to us, in fact, you saw there that with just 1 difference, we got them down to exhausted. Now, even if they actually keep on taking, if we had only had one difference and they were already exhausted, then we still wouldn't. In fact, I think they may have started off exhausted as well. Anyway, actually, with these ones, with that one there, even if you get extra exhaustion, or if through this exhaustion in here, so the effectiveness is what I'm trying to say, it doesn't do any damage to the hit points. The hit points aren't impacted, so a badly damaged unit can still just fend off an attack if the numbers are like this. Okay, now to the other side, and so once again we should have some big numbers coming our way. Yep, 4, and that's enough to... Not enough, that's a hit, that's a heavy, so it's still got 1 hit point, but it is exhausted. And so if we go to the next phase of battle, I sort of hope we do actually, just for the sake of sort of showing how the game models that. Now we suffered there, we suffered one hit point damage to that particular ally unit, and which wasn't good, so we're now struggling. This unit is actually struggling. If we had reserves, and it's sort of like reserves, the game would then sort of figure out, okay, let's move that one back into the back line, perhaps, and move up another unit. So having a reserves can also be quite good, but it does mean on these wide frontages that you need a lot of troops. All right, so we'll just play this one out. Now we've got advantages back in through here with legions versus warriors, and not enough to kill it. And back in through here we have the another one of these ones where we've got a lower rating, but hopefully we'll be able to avoid what's going on. Yes, we do. Okay, we're evading, and they're the ones that actually took the hit in their effectiveness. Same in through here. We've got a low rating, but we should with a skirmisher, and now this one's going to hurt us. Yep, evading. In that case, we did actually take a hit to our effectiveness. And then finally we have velites versus cavalry. So we'll just see how this one actually plays out. I'm not sure how this would play out with cavalry versus this. Yep, so both essentially sort of avoid each other. Right, so that's that one. If we had 3 or more ratings, and it's sort of, I can't figure out, you don't see it on here, and I sort of wish you did, because it's either going to go into pursuit mode or it's going to go into another phase later on in the turn. So we'll just go click on play. Great, it ended in a draw. I'm sort of glad it did. So we didn't get the 3 up, I think is how that actually does work. Right, so we'll just go and view the report. So we did actually kill off one of their war chariots. You'll see that some of these are now starting to sort of fall back with their effectiveness. Back and through here, like the heavy infantry, that one's exhausted. So these are really being hit hard. Our guys are still relatively good, except for the 2 LA. The 2 LA units are not doing all that well, but they're going to have to stand up and fight in the next round that's going to be then played out. Now you'll notice that we're at 26%. The game will then start to move forward through the year, and this is what's called an impulse, and it will then play the next battle out at the next impulse. Both leaders, I think, are still here if they're showing up through here. I think it means that they survived that particular battle, and they don't last long. We're now at 34%, and we have the next phase. And so the game plays out across the whole world with these different phases, with different things coming through. You'll notice that our velites have now actually joined into this group, or with this group, but they don't play a role in the battle. They're separate to the actual battle that's going on. It's whatever the stacks actually are. So I've got my biggest stack. If there was an ally stack in there, I think that they would draw the ally stack in, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't draw in this velite stack. I don't think it does. We'll see it here anyway. So we'll view the battle. Oh, it did. It did actually draw it in. Okay, so it must bring in the 2 biggest stacks in that case, whether it be allies or the same. So we've actually now brought in a second unit or another unit. And you'll notice that because we killed off their forces, they've now got they've put their groups with 0 effectiveness have now gone into their reserve layer. They've got nothing in their support layer. We're going to still end up with 4 in our support layer in behind our troops. We don't have a reserve area, so we don't have the luxury of doing this ourselves, but we shouldn't need it. Okay, yes, Pocus is saying yes, the validity is in. Okay, so let's go forward and start the battle again. So I'm just going to do this. I'll just do this. You can play it in continuous play, but I'll just explain again, just very, very quickly. So these are the targets. There's nothing coming back our way. we should be able to sort of exhaust some of these guys as well. Yep. Oh, look at this. Now that means that they're going to be fighting a lot less effectively. So this is now going to be a bit of a ruffle stomp through the rest of their forces, even though it looks fairly even. So we get playing. We have support. They don't. We've got big advantages through the heavy infantry. And they're already damaged, so we destroy them. And most of theirs are damaged. Now this is one of ours that is going to be fighting quite ineffectively, but against one that's absolutely exhausted. So we do have a big advantage here, and also by having the extra validity that did come through, validity that came through, we are going to be able to then we should get this one without any real issues. So we'll play that one out. Nope, it actually went the other way. So they had lucky rolls. We had really, really crap rolls. So they ended up actually fighting back, even though they were exhausted. They did really, really well, and they've now done a little bit of damage. This allay is in a very, very bad way at the moment. So we go to the next one. We'll play the next one out. So this is advantage to us. That will smash through them, destroy them. Next one, slight advantage, which it's sort of like a skirmisher. Attacking through there. We've got this one as well. They're even, and we get destroyed because when it's even, it essentially gets rid of one of the hit points as well. So we lost a cavalry unit, and then we've got this one as well. We have a slight advantage in that one. So we didn't do too well down that other side, but we'll do well over this side. Oh, look at that! Smash through their heavy cavalry, sorry, heavy infantry. And then we should pursue them after this. This is certainly more than 3 now in the sense of what's going on. Here we go. We've got cavalry versus cavalry. Now theirs are exhausted, so we've got a slight advantage. Not enough to kill it. And then in through here as well. Now they've got skirmisher sort of impacting through here. So I think we've got enough. Yeah, now we've definitely got enough to pursue because we've got more than the 3. So let's just go and play. Yep, so now we're in the pursuit phase. And so what will happen is our guys are going to be targeting essentially the ones with the targets and just seeing what they can do as they chase them down. The more cavalry that you have, the better you can chase. And the more cavalry you have in your defences, the better off you can then sort of try to protect your forces to allow them to run. So let's chase them down. And we destroyed all of those, but not the others. So that's the end of the battle. So these other units through here, they get to escape and retreat because it's a playable nation. So this we'll be fighting these guys, in a little while. So we'll just view the report. Now, one of the problems that we have through here is that we now actually have a number of our forces are now a little bit weaker than what they need to be, but their forces are also very, very weak, very much weakened. So we've got to now make a decision: do we continue rolling forward, or and go to the next location, or do we let our troops heal up a little bit and then go after them? But I'm thinking we're going to press the attack. It's sort of an important consideration, and it's important to sort of take this into account because these guys won't be as strong than in the next battle, but same with mine. Like the hits, you can see there that one's still only got 1 hit. This one's got 2 hits, but it's got no effectiveness. So anyway, let's just close that one down. It'll then play out the rest of the turn. And we saw there that they did escape into that next level. Now, we're still in the bottom rung through here, but we did actually pick up 1 progress token. So this will allow us to ultimately, if we can get 5 of them, to go to the next level up. But we're not going to be doing that in this particular playthrough. So we now have Picenum. Now, Picenum is not building anything, so we can start to build something in through here. We can see that there is some decadence, which is also going to impact what's happening down the bottom there. We've got an abandoned palace, which is going to give us a little bit of decadence. And this is actually a bigger part of the game than what we've sort of been looking at. Bonus of 5 culture from tools, which are missing, so we don't get any bonus stuff. It's really not going to do anything. Legacy increase of 0.5. It's not going to worry us really one way or another. I probably would get rid of it. Actually, this structure cannot be disassembled. Hey, this is interesting. You used to be able to disassemble these. You can't do it anymore. That must be a change that's just come into the game, I'm guessing. Because I used to get these abandoned palaces and just pull them to the ground. because of the decadence. So anyway, we can still build things in through here. We can build a monument which will increase culture. It does also increase decadence. I've got a furnace. In this case, if I can get health and stuff like this, the revolt risk will come good eventually, like after 4 turns, so I don't have to worry too much about that one. We've got another stud there, got a clay pit. It does give us a health penalty. I think I'm just going to focus on just the basic sort of stuff like health and food, really. I think I'll go health. This one does, cattle is already there, so let's just go for a smokehouse. Right, so we now see that over through here there's actually a couple of different armies. There's the army that escaped, which really is struggling. So this has hardly got anything left inside it. Now this particular area, this is a swamp, I think. Yep, this is a swamp. It's only got a frontage of 5. So now we can sort of plan our next attack. We're going up against an area where this was a frontage of 12. We've now got a frontage of 5, which means that their armies plus the group that's actually in there. So they've got where is it? The defensiveness. Actually, where is it? The defense garrison units are 5. So they're going to have 5 extra units that are going to be then added to these 2, which they have been building. So they've actually got like a weaker leader in through there. The Senone's army looks like we killed their general actually in that retreat, because the retreating group have not actually got a general with them. So they'll try to bring a general in for that one, I would guess, or they'll combine them all. And so they've only got one defense roll in through here. If we have a look at our army, our guy is still alive. It's really important to just keep on double checking that you've still got your guys. So we don't want to have our allay come into this fight. In fact, I don't want the cavalry to come in. Actually, if I just click on that one and double click, is it control click? No, shift click. There is a way of getting just that whole area. Right click. No, there is a way of doing it. Alt. Can't think of how to do it. Anyway, I'll just click on those. I'll just do it this way. And we're going to split these guys off from this army. I don't want them fighting in the marsh. Even though my guys don't fight all that effectively in the marsh, they're still really untouched. So these are, they've all got all their hit points are okay. So let's just split them off. So we've now got 4 armies in here. We actually have this army, which we're going to try to replenish. We've got our main army back in through here now. This army replenishing. This one here, we want to merge this one back in. So we're going to merge that one in with army number 1. So that just gets added in. And then this army down through here with the validities, it did actually take a place or take a role in that last attack. We're also going to merge that one with our main army. So the main army is now ready to roll forward. We've got a lot of forces in through here. So rather than wait and replenish the others, I'm just going to go and keep them where they are, back in here, just to sort of collect themselves. Now, for them to get better, in fact, we might have a look and see where we might move them. We may even move them back to Rome. As long as the loyalty and risk is over 50, and we're at 53 at the moment, they will get replenishment in this particular province. If we have a look at this is 71. Rome is at 57, actually, which isn't all that good. There's a whole lot of different things that happened this turn as well. Let's have a quick look at these. So we're receiving 1 slave after the Battle of Picenum. So this is at Latinum, basically at Rome. So we get 1 slave back in through there. The way this works too, it's a little bit sort of clunky, but if you start at the bottom and just work your way up and then go down to the bottom again, and you get it in the same order. I sort of wish that this was on a scrolling thing, actually. It would sort of make it a little bit more sense, particularly with them flashing, because you don't even need to look at these, to be honest. There's 3 ways of looking at the results, but I guess because they're sort of flashing at you, you tend to go, okay, I better look at those things. So the battle was fought. That just gives us summaries of the actual battles, essentially. Then we go another one up through here. It's just giving us those two different summaries. And we can have a look at these if we wanted to sort of see what actually happened. Then we have Marble Quarry has been completed in Tiberias. So we now have 3 of the infrastructure buildings, which means that we may get randomly a second one in through here. If we get this brickworks, we're going to then get infrastructure of 11 with a bonus from the stone. So the quarry is going to kick in here. So we'll go and grab that one. So we do actually have available now that we've got 3 to get the tier 2 units. In fact, if we just go back over the top of them. So large quarries, things like this. Let's just go and grab one of those. Actually, clean water. This is a bit of a no-brainer in one sense because this one doesn't cost any slots. You get this one for free. And it doesn't also cost anything to actually get it. So I can get that immediately. Let's just get that one next turn. So we'll just go with that one. Okay, so we went up to the top. We'll just go back down the bottom there. In a great victory. Actually, I didn't read it. In a great victory. It's a great victory. We've gained Picenum, which is the seat of power for the Senones. The treasury has been plundered, although not everything. 123 money has been gained. So we've actually got the coffers have been filled a little bit with raiding their homeland. This also is the other way that you can check things as well. So you'll see there, if we go with starting once again at the bottom, moving up. So the most recent things get put to the top. And so similarly with this as well, so we've if we go back down to here, now we saw through here Latinum, Rome saw a mighty invasion of Samnium after crushing the local militia, pillaging and murders followed. That's not good. This is back over through here, so the Samnites are actually attacking us, and but you can see we received a slave, received a progress token. We'll see that one as well fairly soon. Mighty invasion. Now they can damage your city, so everything is still okay, which is fine. But this is why I'm thinking if I move them back, it may sort of stop them from attacking in one sense. But look, I do want them close, so maybe just leave it where it is for now. So anyway, we'll just go back through. That one's now been attacked. Back in 3, we conquered that one. We've got leader of the patrician party is satisfied. I won't go through leaders and stuff at this point in time as far as leaders of the parties. We received a progress token. I won't explain this either because I won't have enough time. I just want to do more of the attacking if I can. Here's another one. I want these inside the area that I need. So they randomly get chosen as objectives for Rome. I would love them to have been inside here, but anyway, they're not. We can do other sorts of things if we can afford it, which we can't. And we also have this policy as well, which we also can't afford. Our manpower is not strong enough at the moment. Not that and quite often these are lose-lose anyway. So, you know, they're there if you need them in an emergency. So quite often the negative of taking those sorts of choices can be quite a problem. Anyway, we're now here. We've got our 2 armies. I will keep the second army back in this location. So the 4th army will leave here. I can rename these if I wanted to, but let's just go across and move out into here. Now, while they're doing that, I don't know if the LA... Yeah, see how we got like a Roman camp? So build the infield structure by spending some money. Only some units can do that, like our legions can do that, for example, which will then give us a little bit of a fortress. But unfortunately, we don't have any legions. Now, I'm almost tempted to leave a legion back just to give some protection back into here because these guys can't do it. But the legions can. I could just use one of our greenish legions. You know, I think I might split it off. And we'll then merge that with this one. And now we can build a Roman camp. Let's just do it just so we get some protection. You don't have to do that everywhere, but these are going to be sort of like core provinces. Okay, so I can see that there's a lot of questions coming through for POCUS, and that's great. I won't look across at the comments because I've got too many other things to do, too many battles to fight. And so just have a really quick look through, just make sure that there's nothing else that we need to look at with each of these provinces. That's all okay. We've got that one going in. We do actually have a leader coming in with this one. Now the frontage of, actually the frontage of 5... I'm going to go back to what I was doing. Sorry, the frontage of 5. I do need to have better troops in there, so I'm going to split this one back off. I'm not going to build that Roman camp, so we'll split you off, and then merge you with the first Roman army. That's going to give me at least 4 for the frontage plus a skirmisher. I'm going to have a good support. I should win this anyway, but that just ensures that we win the battle. So we'll just do that. End our turn. All right, so viewing battle, you can see that we're at 41% now of the, or 41% of the actual year has now passed before we actually get to fight this battle. They've still got 12 units with a combat power of 21, and we've got 13 units with a combat power of 67. So once again, we don't have it all our own way. We'll view the battle. And you can see here we've now got a very, very small frontage. They've still got some units that can sort of play a role. Hits and effectiveness. They've got good effectiveness up through there. Low hits at the back there. So their warriors that they've brought through, that's their reserve rank. We've just got skirmishers in our reserve rank. But we're going to have, unfortunately, they've got full-on cavalry, just got light cavalry. So this is the one area where we do actually have a weakness. Everything else we've got should be not a problem in the world. Let's just go for it. So we'll just go, and I'll play this one out again just rather than doing it continuously. So ranged phase. Great. We did get tired. This legion did take an effectiveness hit. Just go through each of these now. So these are 6 and 6 with the 3. So that's interesting. Oh, they get actually now, because we're fighting in the marsh, they get a +2 terrain defense. So this is not going to go as easily as we expected. There we go. They took a little bit of a hit there. Yeah, this could be quite a battle. That's good. That's good as well. And that's very good. Excellent, excellent. That was good, but not enough to win, I don't think. Oh, no, we did get the pursuit. Okay, this is interesting. Because we have essentially won a factor of 3 battles, 3 duels, I think that's why we now get the pursuit, even though they really did hold up really, really well to our attack. And so we destroyed a few different things, and we click on play. Now they've got nowhere to retreat to, so that's essentially the end of that army, and it should be the end of the Simones as well. So we just wait for the turn to play out. The AI has its turn. We're back down through here. We actually lost that progress token that we had, which is not good. And so when we start to read through these, a battle was fought. We saw that one. That's the battle. We've got Castrum Aquaterium has been completed, so this gives us more better recruitment. Now I should be recruiting. I forgot to recruit last turn. I should be doing that. Now one of the good things with this is that certain things you will actually get some of it will actually accrue. So in this case, even though I missed it recruiting for a turn, I've still actually haven't really lost much, because it can store up to 22 equipment, and we do actually have +22 coming in. So I've got 44 that I can spend in through here, which is almost an ally. I might actually grab another ally unit, because we're going to be fighting down here in the plains. In fact, what we might do now is actually have a bit of a think about what we do next. I would like to get rid of Samnia, because they're going to keep on raiding us, which is a bit of a problem. But they're going to also be a little bit tricky to get rid of. So it may be worth our while to go down after and start to focus on Italia Inferior, and it may be worth even just getting some of these independents and just gobbling these up as well, which don't actually have their own armies. So with this, when we have a look at the back in through here, I do need to sort of go and get another building. Now we can get a coin maker. Now, we don't have any of the bonuses, so we don't have gold, silver, or copper. We do have a decadence increase as well with this one, and an infrastructure. It's going to cost us a lot in infrastructure, so maybe I won't get that one. I can get a coastal fortress, which will give me lift fog of war in adjacent sea. We get 3 more garrison. I don't really need it, to be honest, so I'm not going to worry about that one. I'm going to get clear water. This is like unless you've got something you really, really want. If you get clear water, just grab it, because it doesn't cost you anything. So I'm just going to get that one next. And we do need to, we'll come back and get the armies sort of set up in the next turn. We also, actually, if I could just keep on going through these, archery has now been completed back in through here. And we do want to try to specialise in military. Once again, a coastal fortress, I really don't need it. And 69 is just not really worth it. So what have we got down here? Oration. This is going to give us bonus 5 culture from marble, which we don't have yet. I say yet because there's a chance that we'll be able to get that in here. Builders Hall. No, this is a tier 2 building. Infrastructure, but lower manpower. And that's, once again, I'm focusing on infrastructure, so I might just go that way, I think, with that particular building. But I want the marble vein, which means that if I do come back down and grab this one, actually not that one, which one was it? The oration. I don't think I'll bother about it, although it does give me a loyalty bonus of 6, which is actually fairly good. And we're at 55. I think I better go this way. Like the others, I don't really need all that badly. Infrastructure would be semi-useful, but like, I think I'm just going to go with the oration tribute. Let's just go that way. Back in the others, the building is fine there. This one needs to get a building, so we'll just go across, and we'll get sanitation through there. I'm not going to be doing much back in through here. Like a tavern will just give me money with extra bonuses of money. Money is going to be important to me. And we get loyalty there as well. It needs wine, which we can import from Tiberius, which is one of ours. Yeah, I think we'll grab that. Let's just get that one. Just keep get some more cultural type buildings. And their happiness is okay, or their loyalty. This one is now dropped down below, and that may mean that this guy's, they got a little bit there. That was what I was a bit worried about, was that these were not going to be able to fix themselves up properly because of that loyalty. And we now have another one in through here that also has the same sort of problem. But I'm thinking, if we have a look at Italia Superior, this is only going to defend with 6 units, so this is a bit of an easy one for us to target back in through here. Now this is raided, recently been raided by the Samnites. Damn them! So with this one. With this one we've got 6 units there approximately, so it can be a little bit more or less. This is a hill with a frontage of 8, so as long as we have 8 going in, we should be fine. So I'm going to have the 4 from here plus these. I think we'll still be okay, and so I can actually just roll this one down to then start to go and grab these areas. So let's go and move this army down straight away. Now that's going to get there. Once again, I wish I would tell you what impulse it's going to arrive on, because I would also like to move these in as well, because I want these to end up there. If I move them into here, then into here, into there, into Rome, they can still get there. Okay, so it does sort of show a little bit of something. I don't know what that other green is, but it doesn't really give you the exact impulse or around about the impulse that it's coming into. So let's go and bring that one in, because we want these armies to join back up again, and so we'll bring them across that way, because they can all sort of roll into Eternus. And we're not going to have any. We don't want a leader with that group. We've still got this leader alive, which is great. So we'll just keep on sort of rolling forward. I would like to get another legion actually, so I might just come back in and go to the building queue. And once again, if I just go back to the province, you'll sort of see there that we've actually now got a fair bit of equipment stored up because we didn't build everything those other 2 turns. So it's not critical that we didn't build legions in those other 2 turns. In fact, we do save ourselves a little bit of money. In fact, we've now got more than what we had previously because of what we've been able to build. So I can, if I wanted to, build another couple of legions. So I can get 2 more legions. I can get more validities as well. I can get a lot of them. I can almost sort of start a new army. Almost. Now, what have we got here? If we have a look at these guys, we've got 16 plus 11. They're 50, so it's a long way off getting those. But I do want some Malay as well. 4 turns for those, so I'll just start them getting built in there, and I'll get more Malay here as well. 2 turns for those. Yep, they've got 22 with 22 coming in, so not quite enough for that one. In fact, if I go for... It's 4 turns to get one of those. That's all right. In fact, or do we go with more cavalry? Maybe we do that instead. So I can get 2 of those cavalry in the next turn as well. All right, that'll do. And back over through here as well, we might as well start getting these guys getting more allay. 3 turns for that one, and this is not wise to do this, by the way. I'm doing this because we are wanting to invade as fast as possible. So this is you wouldn't do this in the actual main game. In fact, I won't worry about getting any more troops, just because the cost of these allays is. In fact, if we can just go back in there again, what are they? Cost of 12, and I don't have the gold actually for them. In fact, I'm going to change that. I'm not going to bother with that one either. Validities are only 3, so they're actually quite cheap. And these are also only 3 per turn. So just getting those extra legions from here will be fine. I'll just get those 2 legions, then we'll sort of start to split up some of our other forces. I will apologise. I have missed a lot of the comments there, so yeah, I'll just keep on sort of rolling forward. I can see Richard of York says, "Hello, Daz. Did you miss this? I missed something." I think I missed something. I don't know what it was that you were referring to. So anyway, this is a. We're just going to come down into here, and in fact, what this will then do, I'll be able to sort of show off another really cool aspect of the game, which is the provinces. And if I just click somewhere like on the Samnites, in fact, I'll click way down here, we can see that there's different colours on the maps. Now, at the moment, I control 1, 2, 3 of this particular province. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 regions in this particular province. When I take this next turn, I'm going to have the majority of the forces actually in this province, or the majority of the regions in this province, which will allow me to then form the province, and I then get other bonuses from that as well. So we'll have a look at that as well when we sort of get there. So this is another really cool aspect about the game. It sort of gets rid of a lot of the micromanagement that I've sort of been doing, flicking around, trying to sort of figure out who's building what. I can actually have the province look after itself, and we can see there's another province. All of this is another province down this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that one. So if I can sort of grab Campania, I already have, but if I can get Umbria and maybe a couple of the other ones as well, we're going to end up being able to form a province through there as well. So anyway, I'll just turn it back to, I think this is probably the easiest way to sort of look and see what's going on just with the ownership of these. And there's some really cool stuff in here as well, but I won't go through all of this, so I don't have time. Just going through everything. So Clearwater was built in Tiberias, which is fine. We sort of got that one. Received a slave again, so we're getting more population coming into Rome. Great victory, we've gained Aemilia back in through there. Patrician Party back in this side did something. I don't know what they did. We don't care because we're on a rush. We're not trying to play the cultural game. Something else happened there as well, which was cultural. And several signs tell us the next few months will be particularly harsh for men and crops. Now, what that may do, it doesn't happen all the time, but what it may do is change the fair weather to like storms and things. And so anywhere that's got mountains like here will end up with sort of and the Alps will sort of be closed off. It stops movement essentially, and you have like a blizzard in the mountains, which is pretty cool. Like it's pretty cool seeing that, like when it actually does happen. We can't see this because this is outside the scope of this particular scenario, but Samnia may end up with or Umbria may end up with some stuff going on with it. Now that's a hill. This one down through here is a plain. We've now got to start thinking a little bit ahead. If I attack there, I'm going to be able to I'm going to probably have to rest somewhere at some point. And I should be able to take that one and that one fairly quickly. So I could even potentially... No, 2 turns to get down to there. That's okay. I'll just keep that happening where it actually is. I think we've done everything we needed to do, so we'll just end our turn there. There we go. So we've only got the small frontage of 8. We only have... and we've got our second group now coming in to join up with the rest of the army. So they're coming back in. We've got other armies now being built. So we're now going to view this battle again as well. These are the sorts of battles that should be fairly easy. They've only got 9 units. There is a frontage of 8, so that we're still not going to get any sort of flanking manoeuvre. And we should be able to roll over the top of them, I think. They also don't have a leader, so we have 2 extra die rolls on this with our leader. So we'll start the battle. So once again, actually what I might just do is I'll do continuous play in this instance. What you'll notice though when we do this is it'll go pretty fast. The game is actually a pretty fast game, but when you're explaining things it's not. But it actually is really quite quick. And so with this one we're going to see once again the range phase. I think that these have got the urban militia. They do actually have a combat, they'll have a phase to play in this range phase as well. Our guys will then go back into support. They've got 1 unit that will go back into support, but they won't have any leaders. So you'll see that our die rolls will tend to be much, much higher than theirs. Let's get into it. So range phase, bang, we got tired. And then this is actually just how fast the game will play out if you don't sort of do it bit by bit. Personally, I prefer to just do it bit by bit. I quite like the feel of it. There we go. We've got enough now, I think, or maybe not. Damn it, they killed each other. And so we won the battle. There we go. So we got that one, and that's how fast a battle can play out if you're not explaining what's going on. So, but I do prefer to actually have a bit of a look to see what's going on. So we'll view the report. So in this sense, we did lose one of our validities, but we didn't actually suffer any other damage, which means that we can just keep on rolling forward. Now we are heading back down into plains, which is why I needed to have my second army come in and join us, because the frontage is not going to be not going to be big enough. These don't get to retreat anywhere; they basically go. Actually, one thing we didn't see there was we're now looking at Greek units. So we actually had some Greek units in that particular fight. So that was not all our own way, but we do actually now get this one. We're still at the bottom of the rung as far as the culture and decadence is concerned. But in reality, because we're trying to rush, I'm not going to be focusing on trying to move us up any higher. You'll notice that the Simones have now gone, so they're actually out of the picture. So the Sinones down through here. They only had three legacy points. This is the scoring aspect of the game. We're on 13, so we're coming top of the legacy rankings. Now, I forget exactly what the number is. I think if you are 2 or 3 times more than the next player, you win immediately. I think that's how it actually does work. So if it's 2 times, it may even be worth flicking around and going straight after the Etruscans and destroying them before we go after after Tarentum. But I think we'll actually just keep on focusing on Tarentum. 3 times, says Pocus. There we go. So 3 times. So it's not really worth going after the Etruscans. But if that was the case, if we had the opportunity, we may sort of think, okay, well, let's go and wipe out our next... in fact, their score still stays in play. You saw there the Sinones were still actually in play with their score. So you can still win the game and actually be wiped out, is my understanding of it. Okay, so Spearhead Game was saying, like Richard asked, how is the Fields of Glory 2 battle crossover working? We won't be covering that in this session. It's a and actually I saw it there now. Is the Field of Glory 2 crossover working? It is, but it means starting up a new game. I'll show you with the next battle what the process is, but I won't play the battle out. So essentially, the Field of Glory 2 battles are, like, you know, as we all know, if you've got Field of Glory, and if you're watching this, you probably sort of got an interest because of Field of Glory. There's no better sort of ancient battle tactical battle game. It really is so thorough, but it does take time. You saw how quickly these little battles in Empire takes. So you want to pick and choose your battles. It doesn't happen in game. You have to export your battle out, which I'll show you in this next one. Let's just go across. We need to evaluate our forces actually a little bit here. Everyone's pretty clean in that group. How about the second army? They're still not replenishing all that well, this LA, but I'm still going to just join it in because we now have to start going down and fighting on the plains. So I'm going to merge this one across. And we're on a time limit. We've still got our leader. So now with this one, we actually do have, if I hover over that, 15 units, which is enough for me to still at least get 3 support units on the plane. So we'll go down after this one. And next we have to then figure out what we're going to be attacking next. So I think we're going to go after the Samnites. Now, I've actually made a mistake here. The mistake I've made is that I've gone after these with these legions. They've got engineering and siege expertise. Actually, no, they do have siege expertise. Quite often, heavy infantry is no good with sieges. But these ones actually are. If I look at the LA, these are besiegers by default. These heavy infantry. Some heavy infantry is good at sieges, and some of them aren't. And you do want to, if you're going to be besieging and try to get through this scenario, to have a lot of besiegers, which means getting a fair few LA. So they will be quite important. Actually, Pocus is saying legions are top for sieges. There we go. They're worth 2 points. Excellent. So in that case, we can just focus on legions and not really worry about the others. So we've already got now 42 points in this army. This army is already a fairly solid little army. It would be good for fighting, for example, in marshes or the things with low frontages. And we also now have some cavalry that can come and join with it. Just quickly rattle through. In fact, do we want to go through this stuff? We won't worry about that one. I won't do any of those. I know I'm running out of time. I've only got half an hour before I've got to stop. And I do want to get through this one. And I do want to I'll show you the process of going out to Field of Glory without actually doing it. So Region Latium is receiving 1 slaves after a battle. That's good. Battle was fought. I'll just right click on that one. Clear water completed down through here. And so we will actually get more through here. We've got vineyards. A major harbour. Now, this will be important to us because we are going to be needing to get warships, and the reason for that we'll see actually in the next turn, because we'll then start to expose what's happening in through here. But Tarentum does actually have a big port. They've already got a major port down this side, and we need to be declaring war on them, and so we're going to have to start building a navy at some point as well. So that's going to be sort of fairly important to us. The equipment, what's the maximum that I can actually store? Only can store up to 22, so I don't want to keep on. I don't want to waste building in through here. I can actually go and build. I can start building ships, but I wanted to sort of make sure I can get the warships as well, because we are going to have to take on. I'm sort of all over the place because we probably won't get a chance to do this in the time that we've got left. But to besiege a walled city, and we can see that this has got unbreached walls of 3, to besiege a walled city that does have a port and not have a navy blockading can mean that it can take a lot longer with the besieging than other places. So I hope we'll be doing a besiegement of Umbria coming up, I think, within the time factor. But we have to now start planning ahead for these sorts of fights against walled cities. So far, we haven't had to fight any walled cities. Now, sometimes the Senones will actually get one of their walls up by the time you actually invade, and so that can be a limiting factor for you as well. The sieges do take a bit of time. So we've got our 15 through here, and I do want to have everybody attacking at Samnia basically at the same time, if at all possible. Now, this is down in the plains with a frontage of 12. We do actually have one unit that's not all that good with its its hit points. It's only got 1 hit point. So, unfortunately, we may lose that one, but we do have a lot of support. So let's just go in and just see how we go. Actually, they've only got 7 units, so we will actually get we will get around the outside of their area, but that's a little bit dangerous going up against them. As far as this stack here is concerned, I can get that down there in 1 turn as well. So I'll do that. This is going to be a monstrously big army. I'm thinking of building a second army. I'm going to keep this army as is. Okay, now I've got a real strategic choice to make. Do I build... I've only got 2 legions in there. I've got frontages. If I go down this way, I'll be wanting to have the biggest frontage I can possibly have. In fact, let's go and do Samnia last. Let's just so we can see what's going on with this. I'll go and grab this one as well, and we want to bring this one around. That can also just make it as well back into there. So all of those armies can then make it across. We end up with one monstrous army for taking on Tarentum. Now we want to roll straight into Tarentum, so we're now going to come across and declare war against them now. So to diplomacy, we're just going to go and declare war. This is fairly simple, the way that this actually does work. But in this case, yeah, we just basically declare war. We can't move against a force without actually against one of these without actually declaring war first. So we'll do that initially, and we'll do that one now, and then we'll go after Tarentum just so you can see the difference of what actually happens with this. And really, what we should be doing here in Campania, if we go back to this, is to start building. In fact, that's the other thing I wanted to show was the provinces. We can now create a province as well. Back in, Actually, that's funny. I thought that, yeah, that's back over through here in Rome. So we can create a province in Italia Superior, which we'll do. So we'll get that one sort of, so Italia Superior will be formed next turn because we've now got this one. Down in here, once we create this major harbour, this is going to then allow us to get piers and docks. We should also then get, where is it? We're getting hemp imported from Latium. I thought we got the extra unit. Maybe we don't get the bigger ship. Anyway, I'll still just keep it going there anyway, just because we are running out of time, and we do have to sort of have a bit of a navy just to help with the besiegement of this. In reality, if I was doing this challenge properly, I would probably go that way, then down this way, which doesn't have a harbour, build up my fleet, and then come with the army and the fleet back into here, possibly even take this one out beforehand, just to make sure I get the whole southern area before I go north. So anyway, let's go across and keep on rolling forward with that one. Actually, this is what we're doing. We're going and building some ships. I've only got the light warships. These have only got like a +4. These are very, very light as such, so I can get a fair few of these in one turn. I'll get a couple of turns worth, so I'll get 3 turns worth of light ships. And so, just so we can hopefully get a naval battle. In fact, I might even just take the first 3 and just sort of show what a naval battle looks like as well. It's very similar to the other battles. That's all done. So we've got, here we are creating the province already. This one here, we've got the validities. The Legion is too costly. I can no longer afford a lot of these things. Look, I think in that case, I'll just keep everything where it is. So you can see back in through here, once again, we've got these guys are now all starting to sort of march across to get down here to join up with the rest of the army. We've got a massively strong army down through this way. We've now declaring war essentially on Tarentum down this side as well. We've got a frontage of 12, so it's quite wide. We've got 15 units, they've got 10. So we do actually we will get around the outside of them. We'll view the battle. And so you'll notice in through here, we do actually have some aspects. If we don't kill these off, we should then be able to get some flanking maneuvers, which we haven't seen yet in the game. I'll play this one continuously. I can always turn this off at any stage as well. Oh, there we go. Actually, we've got it. We're actually smashing it. They don't have a leader, so we're just going to roll through this one. Yep, not an issue in the world. Even that one, oh, we lost one, and there's a flanking maneuver. The flanking maneuver, they don't get to roll a dice. Yeah, we'll see this again as well. There won't be any dice roll for this one. Actually, it's just one. There we go. So we did lose 1 unit, which is not good. But the battles are really quite functional in this game. Like, you know, they work well, but we actually managed to sort of destroy them to a man. And we're still coming last here, but first up this way. So we'll keep on rolling forwards. Okay, so fighting has erupted between Rome and Tarentum. Good. So new war has begun. And so they will have ships. We can't see the ships just yet, but you can see there, their army is quite weak. And so what I think we'll do is I'll just roll straight down into here and attack. We've now got a small fleet back in this way. And so with this fleet, I can sort of move it down through the different sea lanes, and we can sort of see different areas. But I think what I'll do is I'll just move this fleet to here and have a bit of a look this next turn. I won't move it into this area because their fleet will be really, really strong. And their fleet may be operating in through here as well. So that could be a bit of a problem. Okay, so if we move across now to this army, we want to just keep on smashing these guys. So we're just going to go through, we're going to merge and merge. So this is a monster army. Now this is complete overkill. We've got 139 troops in through here. Sorry, 139 attack power. Geez, you know, this is just so overpowered from what I need. I'm not seeing anything in Italia, in Lusania. If we go into there will be some protection, defensiveness. Garrison combat power of 12 with 6 units. This is out in the plain as well. I'm going to bounce over with my legions, lay the siege, and then bounce across to here as well. So planning out your sieges is actually a whole other aspect of the game that you've got to really contend with and sort of think about. Another thing I could do would be to split my forces up and send a small group down here into this hill land, which has only got like garrison units 4 essentially, with a will defend with approximately 9 units. So that's probably a little bit too strong. It doesn't have any walls up at this point in time, so I could, if I wanted to, march straight through, grab that one if I wanted to, which I won't do. The more you tend to do that, the more risk it is to your leader. And I don't know why that is, but I've never had any good luck with that one. Now I'll just go through each of these. So we've received another slave. Battle was fought. Yep, I won't worry about the battles. Builders Hall was completed back in through here, so we're getting some good infrastructure buildings. Just was hoping for a marble vein. Brickworks, we'll grab that one. Rome has formed Italia Superior Province. Okay, we'll come back to that one last. Our armies marched and conquered the region. Yep, so we've done that one. Gather food. So this is another decision that we can make if we wanted to. I haven't really been looking much at this, and I really should be managing that a little bit more effectively. All of a sudden, Eternus is in unrest against Rome. We believe that one of our neighbours is scheming. So their unrest is, in fact, if we just go back to that province, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Under pacification, raided, in unrest. It's in turmoil and soon revolt unless drastic measures are taken to restore loyalty. Stationing an army here can also help. So we may have to go back and sort that one out. I'm not going to build any more armies. I will go and raid this one. Does it give us an idea? It's in unrest. The Senones may come back here. Let's just see what actually happens. We may have to go back and fix that one up. So probably the smartest move for me would be to split off some of my forces and just have some forces ready for the revolt. But let's not do that, just for the sake of the exercise. And we saw there that we now do have Italia Superior, which now allows us to manage or micromanage. No, sorry, not micromanage. It allows us to manage this whole, like everything that's involved in here, in one swoop. We can see that Eternus, for example, has got 5 slots available that I haven't got anything building in. Now I can tell it to build certain things up through here, like so I can focus a province on a particular sorts of building, or I can manage it myself, so I can actually just go across and build a building. We've got a farm, marble quarry. Yep, we'll just go to the farm for now. And if we just go back to the province mode, and so I can do that with the actual buildings as well, so I can get a quick summary of what's actually being built. Plus, over through this way, I can then sort of designate how the population will actually work. And so I can actually have them where I just manage it all myself. Or I can say, okay, for this province, I want it to be focused on growth and food, or on health, or on infrastructure, money, or culture, or try to maintain a bit of a balance. Once again, because we don't have much time, let's go for balance and just sort of see what happens with our different pops. And so you'll sort of see through here that this is like the food area, we've got the infrastructure area, we've got our money area, and we've got our cultural area. If we go for balance, it's just going to then rebalance. It's going to try to fix up culture. It's going to have less growth in certain areas. Infrastructure is going to be a little bit sort of different. We're not seeing any massive differences with the numbers of how long it's going to take to build anything. We don't control these 3 provinces in through there. They're all part of the Etruscans' lands. But anyway, it's just cool the way it does work. So it just allows you to, without having too much micromanagement, to be able to still do what you need to do. So let's just do that. And we'll just let that one go. And we'll just continue on with our plan, even though we're leaving this behind us, which is not what we would normally be doing. Now, there we go. We've got, we've actually now taken an aging token as well. We haven't we're still at the bottom, even with all that culture that we're doing. So you can sort of see through there that that the culture, actually, there was no revolt. That was good. And so we're still doing okay there. We're now coming into, what they did was they were too scared of us, and they've actually now gone inside. So they've gone inside their walls, and we're besieging them. So they've got like a full army in there. If we have a look at the armies. Yep, so they've got 2 armies in there. They've got like one group, which is their real army. Only got a leader with 1 and 1, so only 1 defense role. They've got the garrison as well. And we've got our Roman army still being led by Adulius. Now, we can besiege this one over time, and it will take time to actually get the siege. The walls are unbreached at the moment. And so what we need to do is, by besieging them, we end up trying to kill off their forces by stopping them from eating. And we also get to do more damage, and we also just over time do damage to the people inside. The army outside tends to be okay. In fact, we should now see that the LA has now been able to come back because he's had a rest in here. He's actually now up to full strength. So this army is now full strength. Now I've got to think, do I actually split this up and move off? They're going to bring out one of their armies potentially to destroy me, but I think I'll just stay where I am. And if we have a look at this one, there's nothing else we can really do other than just sort of sit here. But I could split off armies and go and also start the besiegement of Louisiana as well. Now we can see through here there's a fleet there's a power of 3 with 1 unit. They've got like a light warship in here, and we've got 3 of our light warships, but their ship has got better quality than ours. Ours doesn't have, actually ours is now combat power of 2. Why is theirs better than ours? Attack of 5 with +1. I don't know what the +1 is for. Defense of 4. Now, ours is a bit ragged. Do they have an admiral? Yeah, they've got a very powerful admiral. Well, let's do the same. Let's give them give him our cowardly Hypatius against Helenasius. So he doesn't have any defense. He's only got attack. So let's attack. Let's get this thing done. So we're going to go in with this force. Now the ragged flag there usually means that there's a bit of a problem with effectiveness or something, I think. But no, it seems okay. Not sure what that ragged flag actually indicates. Maybe Pocus. Oh, hang on. Ragged because you won't get supply this turn. So you lose 1 effectiveness on each ship. Oh, okay. Okay, so we're out of supply. Okay, there is a supply. Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Supply overlay. There we go. We don't have supply. In that case, we've got 2 more ships back in through here. Let's just make 100% sure that we do kill this thing off. Not the greatest idea, but we'll go with Scaevola can actually take this fleet. He can move into there. There's only 2 ships in there. Let's still actually attack with this, even with the lower effectiveness, and just sort of see what actually does happen. Okay, so I'll just quickly skim through and see if there are any other comments or questions for me. I don't think there is. I probably missed a lot. Sorry about that, guys. I know I've missed a lot with of the different comments, but Pocus has been answering everything, so it's all good. So anyway, we're going to just come through, and this will just help with the siege of Tarentum. Let's go with those. They're all done. That one's done. We've still got a few more. So we received an aging token. I haven't been able to cover this, but this culture and decadence really is such an incredibly good mechanic. It's very unique in games, and it makes the playing with the Empire side of this game incredibly interesting. So Campania was raided by Samnium, but the defense repelled easily the invaders. So they're raiding everywhere. That's why I would probably have wanted to finish them off before I go south. Let's just go back to our ownership overlay. I wonder. I think with the with getting the big harbour, what does that one do? Does it also give us extra? I thought it gave us a little bit of. Oh, maybe it doesn't. I thought it gave us supply. This fog of war and adjacent sea. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just the adjacent areas. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how that one works either. There's all these little. There's so many little nuances in this. It's just brilliant. So anyway, let's just go across. Now we have our first battle. Oh, geez, and that was lucky because the main Tarentum fleet is back over here. So you can see through here they've got a big fleet sitting back over on that side, and we're just going to be now tackling this little one in through here. So we've got 3 units against their 1 unit. We will get a flanking, so even though it's saying the combat power is equal, we should still do okay, I think, because we'll have a flanking maneuver. So let's just do this one bit by bit. Ranged phase, they're attacking us. Nothing happened. And now it's just 4 versus 4, but we only have 1 effectiveness because of the lack of supply. Oh, we got them. We destroyed them. We had a lucky hit. Actually, we had our leader. So Hellenicus only had the 1 roll. We had our extra rolls. Not a problem. We're done. Rome won the battle. And so we actually killed off that particular fleet. Here comes the rest of the fleet. They didn't move their fleet. They will next turn. So we've got two fleets in through here. Let's just sort our fleets out first. And just get this one to merge with this one. So Hypatius, you can be cowardly now and limp back home with this fleet. So they've got an attack power of 33. If we have a look at this, they've got full-on warships, which we can't build just yet. They've got 3 warships and 2 light warships. And all we've got is 5 light warships. So not really good enough. Let's go back to port. So we'll just move them back. If we have a look, yeah, no, that's all we need to do there. In fact, if we have a look at the supply again. Yeah, no, there's nothing going to be there. No, it's only on land. No, it's not going to help us. So we'll just go back to the ownership. So we'll get out of there before they reach us, hopefully. Richard of York saying, I wish you could hear dice rolling sound when in combat. Okay, and yeah, Van Bishop saying, damn it, I love my Fog of 2 DLCs. Well, this is very different. Fog of War, I went into when I first started looking at this, I thought this was a sort of like an add-on to bring campaigns to Fog of War, if I'm being brutally honest. And after playing Empires, I realised it's actually the other way around. Fog of War is a value add to Empires, not the other way around. So Empires is its own complete game with the bonus of having Fog of War, rather than it being a campaign builder for Fog of War. Field of Glory. I keep on saying Fog of War. Field of Glory. I meant Field of Glory. So, yeah, for Field of Glory 2, great tactical battle game, but but its campaign mode is not that solid. Whereas, and so my initial thought was this was more the campaign mode for that, but it's really the wrong way of thinking. This is its own game. Okay, now we've got a few little things that have happened in through here. I'll just have a quick look at the besiege. While besieging Tarentum, we did not manage to inflict any casualties on the defenders. And we'll notice now that the defenders have now gone back and consolidated. They've got a leader in through here who is disorganized with movement, but has actually got some semblance of protection. So we're besieging where they are at the moment. We didn't actually get any damage to them at this point in time. If I try to attack them with having all 3 walls up, plus having the group in here, and as we get closer, I might just do it after the next turn, just to show you what's happened, because we're nearly at the end of the stream. So I'll show you the disasters that can happen if you actually attack when you're not ready. Let's just rattle forward in that case to it. So yeah, we did not manage to inflict any casualties. Yeah, I don't think there's much else we have to really worry about in here. Yep, there's nothing else. So let's just end the turn and see what actually happens when you assault an area without actually being able to do any damage. They went that way with their fleet. That was interesting. We've just taken we've got another aging token. Unfortunately, with the amount that we've played, we haven't seen anything sort of go up to the next level, but Syracuse is nearly ready to go from a stable city-state to a glorious city-state, which actually gives them other bonuses. If we went to 5 of these aging tokens, we'd actually go from a stable republic to an old republic and have some other negatives and things with us as well. So it's really cool the way that aspect works. I wish the Roman fleet is in a critical situation from lack of supply in Sinus Terentium, but we're out of there now. We've got them all back home. So they're okay. There's no problem there. Just move that one out of the way. So we didn't do any damage, you can see through here again as well. So while besieging Tarentum in Apulia, Rome did not manage to inflict any casualties. So we've actually done nothing, like they're still sitting inside their walls. And let's actually just finish this off with an assault on the actual wall itself. Now, one of the things with Field of Glory as well, with the actual Field of Glory aspect to it, so if I click on that one, I'm ordering an assault. Let's just go back that way and come back again. That will stay there, which I think will, this is still a beta version of the game, so I'm assuming that that will actually, yes, disappeared now. But to order an assault, I can just be in this particular province and click on the assault button through here to order the assault, or I can just right-click on the actual building itself. It's really important, though, when you're moving troops around. Like, for example, if I was going to go after this, after Lusania, if I click in the actual area around it, they'll end up going to there. If I click into there, it means that they're going to come charging in, fight anybody that's in this land, and then do an immediate assault on the actual city itself. And sieges and sort of protection of sieges. So I wanted to sort of show how well cities can protect themselves just through looking after the actual, just by staying inside their walls. So this one we've got unbreached walls 3 of 3. If I right click, I can order an assault. This then lights up, showing that our forces are now going to go on assault. We've got Adulius, which has got a combat rating of 2. Now, it's most likely going to end up in a whole series of different battles with a very high chance that our leader will be killed at some point. So, let's just see what actually does happen here. Yep, so we've received the aging token. I'll just play this one out because we literally only have 10 minutes left. So, first battle. Now, you sort of think, okay, well, we've got double the combat power. We've got the same number of units. Now, this has only got a frontage of 6 because we're attacking a very strongly fortified terrain. So if we go and view the battle, and I'll keep this one off continuous play. So when we have a look at this, we can see, okay, well, this is all of our this is our reserves. So we've got reserves for the coming battles. Remember that we need to have a difference of 3 to actually get the or thereabouts 3 to get to. Pocus is saying backup leaders. Quite a how do we do that? Yeah, I don't know how the the backup leaders would work. Anyway, they've all got supports. We've got supports, and so our main army, we're attacking with our full legions, trying to sort of smash our way through. Now we're going to have bonuses with our attacking with the legions, but they're also going to have big bonuses with their terrain defense of 4. And I think that that's a factor of the walls. I don't know what how much the walls actually add to it, but the walls will give them monstrous abilities to also protect themselves. So even though their raw combat rating is only 5, their total rating then goes right up. Now they're unmaneuverable. These ones will go up to 10. They've got a combat rating of 10 versus my 9. I've got actually terrain defense. I don't know why I'm getting a terrain defense benefit there as well. That shouldn't be there. But anyway, let's just go and start. So we have the ranged phase. Now, that one went to fresh. It was, I don't know what it was beforehand. Effectiveness of 3, so it's got very high effectiveness. This one's gone down to 2, which makes it fresh. I don't know what it's called when it's beyond fresh, but anyway, these have just been tired. None of our forces were actually damaged. And so now when we see the combat rolls, we're going to sort of see that we've got 5 combat. They're unmaneuverable because they're a phalanx fighting inside a city. They're not as good as some of the other forces. So they have that's good for us. They've got much more effectiveness than what we actually have. They've got the terrain bonus. We have plus. They've got a +1 support bonus. Their support isn't as good as ours, which gives us fairly even. They've got 1 defender in through here. We get 3 rolls. We should have a bit of luck on our side here. No, we didn't. And so we took an effectiveness hit there. This next one, they've got a massive advantage in through here. We've got 8 is still coming back in through here. They've got 1 support. They've got the 6 combat rating. These are palace guards. Okay, so they've got the and their minimum roll is 4. Our minimum roll is 5 with this one, but they should do well here. Yep, 5 means that we are nearly dead. We've got 1 hit point left. These are just regular infantry, and so once again, it ends up being pretty even though these are fairly mundane sort of troops. Normally, they've got a combat power of 3. Ours have double that at 6. We've got the extra support, but they've got the terrain defense. Now, they have taken a hit to their effectiveness. They've got a 2 minimum, and we've got a 3 minimum in this instance. Nope, they still won it. That was the luck of the draw. Okay, so that was just a lucky roll. These have got a big advantage, the Palace Guards again. So the Palace Guards certainly have a massive advantage here. No, we're holding on with 1 hit point. They're even. Each takes a hit. This one's even, and they do some damage against us. Now they won more than 3, which I think means that they then pursue us. Yeah, they get the pursuit, and so they get a chance to then sort of really do some damage against our forces. Will they kill any? Yeah, they kill off 2 of our legions. That's 100 equipment that we just lost in that battle by trying to attack, and they repulsed us. So Tarentum won the battle. We'll just view the report. Looks like we still have our leader, but look at the damage that's now done to the remaining legions. It's a really cool game. Like it's the abstraction works incredibly well. So yeah, it's really amazing the way it actually sort of these sorts of things do play out. So our force now, I've killed off my army basically. So I've killed off the game by doing that. We can still sit out here. I don't think they can come back outside the walls easily. Actually, I'll just combine those 2 fleets, the fleets we have back down this way. Not that we're going to use them. We'll just merge that one across to there. Yeah, there's nothing much we can really do with that one. So yeah, it's funny actually. I've had none of my actual commanders die. They normally die really a real lot in the beta version of the game that I've been playing. So maybe that's been tweaked as well. I would half guess that may be the case. So, look, if anyone's got any questions or want me to sort of show off another aspect of the game, we've still got 5 minutes. That was actually, I thought that battle may have gone a little bit longer than that. But no, that was all that actually happened there. But if you do have any questions, I'll keep on looking across. So the assault combat cannot be fought in Fields of Glory 2. No, sorry, I meant to mention that. No, the assaults cannot be brought across into Field of Glory 2. That's the only battles that can't. So if you're doing the, and the ship battles, of course, as well. But the, that one, you cannot export those. Any other questions? That battle just made the game more interesting. It seems to be too easy, but it isn't, though. Exactly. And that's the thing about this game. It's easy to play. It's easy to get into, but it's very hard to actually really get an idea of the finesse and the way of getting the best out of it. It's actually one of these games, and we're only playing on the next difficulty level up from easy. If we're just playing on balance, there's a heap of other difficulty levels as well. So no, this is like the more I play this game, the more respect I have for the game itself. You know, because it can punish you. It can do all sorts of things to you if you're not careful. One thing we haven't even been able to have a look at is we're now at if we go and have a look at our nation panel. If we have a look at the culture and decadence, we're now really getting close to going down a status level, and that's going to impact us quite negatively if that actually happens. And so if you're playing a longer game, and so playing this particular challenge, the idea is to try to take over as much as you can, as quickly as you can. So you've got to try to do this before this starts to impact you negatively, because you're not going to get enough to really get the bonuses by ascending to like a glorious republic. But you can certainly, like if you're not careful, you could end up as an old republic and then sort of have other negatives that come from that as well. And so we haven't looked at this particular panel, but this is really the heart of the game. We've been looking at battles and doing stuff like that. But that is, in my opinion, this is what the game is all about, this particular screen, and managing this screen through your provinces and through your different bits and pieces. It's incredible, actually, what it's done. That's why, in one sense, thinking this is a Field of Glory game is really misleading, because Field of Glory is the add-on to this game in that sort of sense, to play the tactical battles out. But this game is not just a campaign layer over Field of Glory. It's really important that I get that across because that's the initial impression that I actually came into this thinking, if this is just an overlay, then why is there all this other stuff, But this is an incredibly deep game. And what this does, to try to put this into some sort of context, I wish I could sort of show the full breadth of the game, but the bigger you go, like if we have a look at Decadence, if I just hover over here, we can see that our decadence is at 15. And so the decadence, we're getting it because of our nation size. The bigger the nation, the more decadence you have. And you also get them from some of the structures and some of the national modifiers there as well. So you've got all these different ways of getting decadence, including the status age, which we sort of saw before. This age here, we're now at age 21. I don't know when that kicks in, when it starts to actually sort of also apply decadence, but the longer you stay in a status area, the higher your age goes and the more decadence you then sort of accrue. So decadence is a real problem. And so what you need to do is you need to try to keep this ratio going. So you can see we've got a ratio of 2.66, but we're still bottom of the tree. And so with this one, the HCV, now this all of these things, when you first look at them, think, what does all this mean? And when you hover over it, it tells you historical cultural value of 40. It's not historically as in history, as in the Roman Empire, the actual real Roman Empire. What it is it takes the previous 20 or 25 turns. I always forget how far back this one actually does go. I think, is it 20 turns? I can't remember how many it actually is. Anyway, the historical culture value in through here takes the average of the previous 20 turns. You can see average of historical is 25 and the current of 55. Now, we've only played, I guess we started on year 1, so we've played 9 turns. So it's still sort of adding up, like the culture is sort of catching up, but the current of 55 is also then being added to the average of the average historical, and then that gets averaged. And so the average of 55 and 25 ends up being 40. And so our historical cultural value, HCV, is 40. So it means that you can't just in one turn just go crazy with your culture and think you're going to fix it. It takes 20 turns or 25 turns before that actually does kick in. So you have to manage your culture in the game over a long period. That's what I mean. Like, there's so many little mechanics in the game that you don't even need to look at that impact the way that it actually plays out. So you don't need to know exactly how this one works, but when you do know how it works, you know that you have to look after culture over the long haul. You can't just suddenly sort of do it. Actually, Pocus is saying historical culture is there to avoid some exploits, like putting everyone in culture and immediately skyrocketing. Yes, exactly. So it stops all that from happening. It means that you have to plan ahead to manage this ratio. And so even though we've been doing really, really well with everything else that we've been doing, if we look at legacy, where our legacy, we've got three of our objectives. We've got 1 wonder. We're getting 4 legacy income to give us 33%. Now, actually, I forgot where the scores are. If we go across to legacy and through here, this gives us the score. So we're coming first at the moment. But if we're 3 times more, so if the next one down, let's just say that these others weren't here, we'd win the game immediately because we're 3 times more than anybody else. If we go across to the CDR, which is the culture decadence ratio, this is actually the score that we see on that left-hand side of the screen every so often. Our CDR is 2.66. To break up into where the Etruscans are and replace them, we need to get over 4.6. So we need to have if we go back to our actual culture and decadence and have a look at this, to get that ratio back up even higher, and we've got a thing of 15, we're going to have to get a heap of culture. Now, to do that in one turn means that we have to double what we need as far as the increase in numbers is concerned, just to get over that average. And so this is why it really is something where you've got to really look after this culture and decadence if you are playing the actual proper campaign game, because it plays a massive role. If you're, I'll just get rid of that one there. The factions is not going to sort of show us much in through there, I don't think. Actually, we haven't even looked at this. There's so much stuff we haven't even looked at. We've now looked at culture and decadence. We've looked at legacy briefly, very, very briefly. I know I'm over time. I'll just quickly go through it. This is really quite important as well. And I was thinking, should I start with this and go through everything? Because it really does summarize things really, really well. You've got modifiers as well that sort of show how things are impacting your civilization. You've got the different decisions that you can make. So if you can sort of do different things, you can bring these up and sort of try to sort of buy mercenaries or whatever. You've got your different objectives listed, nation traits as well. There's There's just so much in this game. It's just incredible. Anyway, guys, I really do have to get going. I have now gone over time. I didn't think I would, but I have gone over time. But you can really just get a bit of a feel of just how good this game is already, and it's still actually in development. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there, and thanks for watching.